After looking at the title of this video, you've got to be thinking, how can talking about sex solve all my problems? You got to be thinking, this guy's crazy. Well, my name is Troy Beans with 78freethrows.com. I was speaking in Argentina not too long ago, and when I was finished with my talk, and my talk was titled Why You Are So Sexy, and I get into all the neuroscience of sexuality. And the first person who spoke up, before he really had a question, he had a comment, and his comment was this. He said, "Why have I not heard this before? I'm 25 years old. I should have heard this 10 years ago. What is wrong with the people around me? How come I haven't heard this?" And so this is really an answer to his question. Why has he not heard this? And how can I say, if you can talk about sex, it will solve all your problems? Well, why haven't we heard more about sex? Why haven't people had these conversations? First and foremost, the thing about sex, sex is arguably the strongest human emotion we have. It's powerful. We feel it, and it's private, and it deals with our most private parts. And so why would we share that with anyone? Why would we bring that up with anyone? And also, unless you come from a very open family, and a family that's talked about it since you were very small, it's just not a subject that comes up. And you talk about it at school, and the kids laugh and joke about it, or you joke about it with people at work on a very, very shallow, casual level. But we really don't talk about it at all in a way that's meaningful. And we have this super strong emotion, and we just kind of like to keep that to ourselves. I used to actually say this to my students, and it would just scare them to death. I mean, they'd practically dive under the desk when they'd hear me saying this. And we'd be in health class, and we'd be talking about sexuality, and I would say, I'm going to tell you one of the things I really like about sex. The horror on their faces. You could literally see them want to put their fingers in their ears. They didn't want to hear from this adult. What in the world is he going to say? And I would say, one of the things that I really like about sex, it is absolutely private. It's nobody's business. I think among a married couple, that's absolutely true. So it's difficult. We have all these emotions. It's difficult to talk about sex. And parents want to talk to their kids. It's difficult because you're not sure what to say. Where do I start? What does this kid know? What does he not know? I think one of the important things as a parent is you have this relationship with your kid. You start to find out what are their questions. It's not so much that you got to give them everything you got, or that learn something about it, but also find out what their questions are and get answers to them. But how does that solve all your problems? The number one reason why talking about sex will solve all your problems is we as a society, we as families, we as co-workers, we don't communicate. If you can talk about sex, if you have the courage to talk about sex, you can talk about anything. And in our daily lives, we often lack courage to talk about things we need to talk about. Stephen Covey gives a definition of maturity. And his definition is polite, kind confrontation. A mature person will be polite, they'll be kind, but they will confront issues. They will be intellectually honest with what's going on. And with sex, so often we're not terribly intellectually honest. We maybe have our own issues. We struggle with our own issues. And so we really don't want to talk about it. So if you don't talk about sex, then the subject that's still difficult but a little easier, you might not talk about it. And how far down the line does it go? Stop and think about it. And really think to your own self, do I have the courage? Do I have the intellectual honesty to truly deal with the problems in my life? If you do, I guarantee you, it will virtually solve all of your problems. I would love to hear your feedback on this video. I'd love to hear your questions. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Please leave a comment below, and we'll talk to you soon.